Hello everyone and welcome back to another Godzilla Battle Line video, and today we are looking at the tier list for season 41. I believe it's 41. It is the season of October 2024. And you're definitely not going to be able to hear a word I say underneath the bird mask. Let me go ahead and take that off for you. Happy Halloween to everyone who observes like myself. And let's take a look at this tier list. We have had many changes this season in October 2024. Godzilla Final Wars got a change. Mecha Godzilla 1974 got a change. Anguirus, both Kamakuras and Biollante Flower Beast all got changes, so let's see how they shake out. Final Wars Godzilla was floating around in the B tier for a long time. I am graduating him to somewhere in the A tier. He is not, he's not really meta. He isn't really meta defining, but he did get an increase to his HP, and an increase to his close range attack power, and increased knockback distance of the close range attacks. So, really, no one's using him this season as far as I can see. I haven't seen too many matches with him in it. I've seen a lot of people experimenting with him in the beginning of the season. Not so much as the season has progressed. Even with these changes, so he's going to stay at the bottom of A, but he's graduated from the top of B, which is nice. But the increase to his HP helps a ton. I'm not really super concerned with the increase to the close range attack power, as I am with the increased knockback distance. Phenomenal. Really good change. Not enough to really break him into the meta. Unlike this next change that we got, Mecha Godzilla 1974 got an increase to his attack and adjusted his AI to begin attacking immediately after the disguise has been removed. This particular change, updating the AI, has been a request of, the players ever since this Godzilla was added, or this Mecha Godzilla was added, okay? It used to be he would get decloaked, and then he would stand there, he would have to loop through the whole cycle, and then he would attack, but by that time, he's already dead. Now, he starts attacking as soon as he's decloaked. This is amazing. I think he was somewhere in the C tier or B tier, but now he is definitely this season like an S tier unit. No ifs, ands, or buts. Absolutely just a phenomenal character. I don't think you could talk to any high-ranking player and they'll tell you that he wasn't in the top tier of the meta. Great unit. Absolutely phenomenal. I love him. This season especially, he's been just so potent, so strong. No notes. Anguirus got an increase to their attack. So last season they were floating somewhere around here. Congratulations. You're like over here somewhere. We'll just move him up a little bit. It's really nothing super special. Just putting him a little bit ahead of where he was. I mean, I don't even know if he's better than the Kaiser Ghidorah because he can't even hit air. So just ahead of the Leo. I mean, he tanks the same amount. He deals a little bit more. That's great for beginners. Not really going to see a whole lot of play in the top ranks. I've seen a few level 40 Anguirus this season. They really haven't given me too much trouble. He doesn't really move up a whole lot. Now, the Kamakuras have had a pretty good change. Both Kamakuras have now, it has been made possible to attack aerial leaders as well as Biollante. So, this Biollante doesn't move at all in their placement because they're not making it to the other side to attack an enemy leader. These Kamakuras, I would say, do move up quite a little. I think this is where they were last season, or somewhere around there. I have the tier list from 2 seasons ago. Where did I even put them 2 seasons ago? I have no idea. I had them in the A tier, did I not? Did I have them in? Yeah, okay. I had them in the B tier 2 seasons ago. I'm gonna put them. Where's my other thing right here? Here we go. I'm gonna put them maybe like down here in the lower A. They're really getting wiped out these days by Ghidorah. They're still really good to block ground units. We're not really in a very ground heavy meta right now. But I've had plenty of times when I've used them where they make it to the other end, and these are my only level 50 units, and they'll make it to the other end, and then they just sit under the flying leader. That's how they used to be. Now they're actually going to attack. It has helped me a lot in All-Star Battle. It has also worked against me in All-Star Battle. It's actually made some of the Swarm missions harder. Like this season is a Batra re-release of the 2022 Batra event. And it used to be you could just let Batra chill there because they wouldn't attack him. Now they are going after him. So it has made the Kamakuras a little bit more deadly, but not a crazy amount. And then the Kamakuras Swarm, same change. I'm just going to put them ahead of kids. I think they're better than this group right here. They're still not great, but now that they can hit the enemy leader, maybe there's some benefit to using them in the lower ranks. I don't know. Finally, the new units this season. Let's start with Hedorah. Final Wars. Energy cost is 6. All right. The attack speed is 2.7. The search range is 50. They target leader, ground, aerials, and facilities. Their reach is 35. Their movement speed is 14. They have a recovery rate of 103%. They do 80 acid damage, or maybe it's 80 acid damage at level 20. I don't know if that changes or not. I don't remember. And their acid effect lasts for 6.5 seconds. The introduction page says, on deployment, applies a constant effect that heals itself by 3% of its maximum HP every 1 second. This healing effect will be removed if it is hit with a stun attack. When attacking, if the targeted enemy unit is not afflicted with the acid status effect, it performs an attack that inflicts the acid status effect on enemy units in a semicircle. The acid status effect deals acid damage to afflicted enemy units every half second for 6.5 seconds. Acid damage is not affected by damage reduction, so it's like the Mogera shield. If the targeted enemy is afflicted with the acid status effect, Hedorah performs attacks on single units with a boosted attack power of 80%. A defensive unit that continues to recover HP as long as it is not hit by a stun attack. Its attack method changes depending on whether the target is afflicted with the acid status effect or not. This unit is not only adept at fighting individual targets, but its ranged attack and acid damage allowed to take on multiple units as well. I like Hedorah. I really like this Hedorah. Biggest complaint is I think the movement speed is a little too fast to have the reach that it has. This Hedorah, very easy to let it go, and it's going to get ahead of a push, and it needs to get so close. I mean, 35 reach is short. Okay, 35 reach is really short. Like, for example, Godzilla 1989, if you bear with me for 1 second, the reach on him is 40. Godzilla 1989, the reach, not the Wakasa Bay one, the gold one, the original one, has a reach of 40. That is close. 35 is even less. I think that Hedorah would be much better off if they were able to attack from a farther range. I know they have to be close so they can do that slam. I would just have preferred if that slam didn't exist. Just have it so their first spray, they have maybe a 55 range. They spray, right? It does acid damage. If the enemy's already inflicted with acid, just have that spray again at 80% increased damage, but no acid affliction. That's how I would have done it. I think the fact that this Hedorah is a 6 cost with that short of range, has to get so close to the enemy, is not great. At lower ranks, the health regain is insane. Insane. If you're a lower ranked player and you're not facing a whole lot of Chibis or Manillas or Gigan 04s, if they cannot cancel this regen, they're probably not going to do enough damage to kill the Hedorah. If you have your Hedorah at level 3 and you're at rank 34 or 40 in the arena, and you got your Hedorah at level 3 this season, as long as you're not seeing stuns, your Hedorah is effectively immortal. Because the enemy usually is not going to be able to drop a whole lot of damage on them at lower ranks, to the point where it's not they're out healing most of the damage at lower ranks, especially a lot of new players using the silvers and the golds and the bronze units. They're not doing enough damage to outpace this heal. As long as this Hedorah is putting acid and killing things, and it keeps healing, it's going to live forever until inevitably, I mean, it might not die, but eventually it'll probably die if you play your cards right. But it stops with stun, which is unfortunate because stun is everywhere. I mean, look at some of the best units in the game right here. Chibi Duo, one of the best units in the game. They stun constantly. Ghidorah stuns on spawn. Scar King grabs and stuns. Gigan grabs and stuns. Pretty good. Pretty good. Stun is pretty good. Most people are running stun in their deck, especially in the high ranks. It cancels out this Hedorah's healing immediately. And most of the characters that are stunning are either at its level or lower. Gigan and the Chibi Duo are a lower, or not level, lower energy cost to get rid of that healing. Desgador is more, Scar King is the same. So, Hedorah, I'm going to place this Hedorah in the A tier. I think this Hedorah is a ton of fun. I think he is not necessarily super great. I'm going to put him right here, right ahead of GMK Godzilla, because I definitely think this season with the boosted levels, he's seeing a lot more play than the GMK Godzilla is, although I would not say he is as good as something like Ultima. I think that you can make Hedorah work if you really try, but it's going to take a lot, and I don't think it's worth it. Speaking of things that take a lot and might not be worth it, Go Tango, my favorite warship. Let's talk about the Go Tango. Energy cost is 7. Attack speed is 5 seconds. Search range is 75. Targets only the leader, except under special circumstance. Reach is 72. Movement speed is 10. Range damage will increase as you go on the level. Mine at level 10 is 48. So, when attacking, Go Tango unleashes 10 successive attacks on the enemy leader. Just like how Mothra 92 does. It does like the Mothra 92 does like the little like psh, 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 psh. Go Tango does that with a huge laser. So it's like just like that. Like, okay. It can perform 10 successive attacks on the enemy leader, thereby dealing 10 times its attack power as damage to the enemy unit. So when you go to your stats page, like mine's at level 10, the attack power is 63. That's not including the 10 times multiplier, so you take 63 times 10. That's the damage your Go Tango is going to be doing to the leader. Unique behavior. It advances toward then targets only the enemy leader, so it's just like Gigan and Stealth Bomber. When attacked by an enemy unit, it deals 3 times its ranged damage to its surroundings. This attack has a 2.5 second cooldown. It is not triggered by the enemy leader's use of special move or other types of damage. So that is like when a Kamakuras walks by. You know, this thing is going to trigger. When, I don't know, Mothra 92 approaches it and hits it, this is going to trigger. Every 2.5 seconds, it's going to pop the range damage 3 times. Pretty cool. A special unit that advances directly toward the enemy leader while counterattacking enemy units' attacks. So I think they have to attack them specifically for the counterattack to go. So maybe the Kamakuras is not going to do it. But like Batra Larva is on the ground, it's going to zap it, then it's going to trigger. Its high durability and slow movement speed make an ideal tank unit to launch alongside other units. It can also intercept encroaching enemy units with ranged attacks while advancing. So, this is kind of a mechanic that we have wanted for a really long time. For years on this tier list, we have said how many times Stealth Bomber and Gigan would be much better units if they could defend themselves somehow. You know, Gigan runs through and it like buzzsaws an enemy, you know. That's like been our hypothetical that we want. Like Gigan will, if he touches an enemy, they'll take damage. This is like that. Go Tango has a ton of health. At the lower levels, like 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, it's not so good, especially at 7 cost. But like a level 40 Go Tango, level 50 Go Tango, hypothetically, is just going to have a ridiculous amount of health. And then that 10 times damage boost is going to be phenomenal. You pair that with some Final Wars battle memories, and you're cooking. However, 7 cost is a lot to dedicate to something that's not really as strong at defending itself. It can defend itself every 2.5 seconds only if it's attack, and it's a 3 hits instead of the 10. If the defense was like 5 hits or 6 hits, I would take the 10 hits personally, because I think that just makes more sense. It does 10 hits to the leader, it does 10 hits to defend itself. It doesn't. If it had more hits, so it's 2.5 seconds, and it does like a big counter attack. If it didn't hit 3 times, if it hit like 5 times, I think that would maybe be fine. It's not really good at countering itself. It has a ton of health. You can escort this to the enemy leader reliably. I like the Go Tango a lot. I think it is really fun. I think it's super cool and it's unique. None of the other cards that go straight for the leaders defend themselves. This is something that I've personally wanted in the game since day one, since I found out Stealth Bomber and Gigan are garbage. This is exactly the kind of kit that I've wanted. I feel like it's a little lackluster. It's not as bad as the Godzilla Tower. It's definitely not D tier. I'm going to put the Go Tango in the B tier. I think it's somewhere along here if you level it up more. This season, it's not rentable, which I think is unfortunate, but I think with some levels, it'll be around here somewhere. It's somewhere like in the middle of B. We can argue all day where it is in B. I think it's in B regardless. If you think it's at the top of B, if you think it's in the middle of the B, in the bottom of B, let me know. I just think it's a B tier unit. I'm just putting it right there, almost smack dab in the middle. I think it's good. I think with some levels it's going to be cracked. I think it's going to take a long time for us to get there, and I think it's maybe not worth it. Maybe if it was a 6 cost, it would be a lot better. 6 cost and more counter attacks. That's something that I'm interested in. Finally, we have the main man himself, Godzilla Final Wars Tokyo Final Battle version. This is the second alt form that is a Tokyo Battle version. This is a 7 cost alternate form. It has 2 different attacks. Its attack speed is 2.5, has a range of 60, targets leader, ground, aerial, and facilities, reach of 50, movement speed of 80, and it has upgrades levels 1 and 2 and 3, and we will go over them right now. On deployment, after deployment, its stats are boosted by 3 stages depending on the number of times the opponent deploys units or facilities. If multiple units are deployed at the same time, it will only count as 1 deployment. Deployment of event battle pieces does not count. So that's like, it goes up 1 stage for every enemy that hits the battlefield. If your enemy plays Kamakuras, that's 3 of them, it doesn't just boost them to rank 3. The 3 Kamakuras count as 1 deployment. And then if your opponent uses something like the trains or Dimension Tide, that's also not a deployment. So swarms only count as 1, and effect pieces don't count. So Void Hedorah doesn't count. On 2 deployments, so your enemy is going to deploy a character. Nothing's going to happen. And then the second time they deploy a character, this triggers. 2 deployments. Attack method changes to a heat ray attack with 200% attack power, and reach becomes 80. Very important. Also gains stun immunity buff. Cool. On the next deployment, which is now this is stage 3. Reach of heat ray attack is increased to 100. Phenomenal. That's Ultima's range. And then on 4 deployment, the attack power is increased by 30%. So at level 4, if he lives this long, he will have a 200% attack power increase. His range is 100. And then he gets, actually he would be 230% attack power. And then his range is 100. And he's stun immune. Cool. When attacking, he unleashes 2 successive attacks on enemy units. It can perform 2 successive attacks on a single enemy unit, thereby dealing 2 times its attack power as damage to the enemy unit. And then a special unit with... the way this is worded is wrong, but then it says, a special unit with stats that are enhanced every time the opponent deploys units or facilities. Its attack method changes, and it gains stun immunity as its stats improve. It is key to launch this unit early in battle, as it will become more difficult to boost its stats after the enemy has launched their main attack. This unit is cracked. I'm not going to pretend like it's not. It can be difficult to get him to this level before he's killed. Thank God the stun immunity is on that very first deployment. I know it's a bit confusing, but the first upgrade that he gets is that stun immunity, and he gets the what is it? The attack increase. The attack method changes, so he gets the heat ray and the stun increase. Phenomenal. It is once the ball gets rolling on this guy, it is really, really hard to stop. It is really, really hard to stop him. You can spawn Dorats, Chibis, Gauss, Desgador, whatever. It doesn't matter. He gets Ultima's range. He gets an absurd attack boost. He's stun immune. He's a phenomenal unit. Okay, I'm not gonna pretend like he's not. Is he S tier? I don't know. I feel like I don't personally think so. But I think, you know what I think? I'm going to put him near, like, the bottom of S tier. I'm going to say that for one reason. I think on all of his deployments, or not all of them, but without the boosts, he is like a B tier unit. As soon as he gets the 200% attack power and the reach at 80 and the stun immune, he becomes an S tier unit. He does not start out as an S tier unit, but if you allow him to snowball, he will become an S tier unit. So I'm going to put him at the bottom of S because he doesn't start out as an S tier unit, but he, over the course of the battle, will become an S tier unit. I think he's really good. I think he's really strong. There's a reason he wasn't given out in the Battle Pass this season, alright? Hedorah is the worst version of the two, but this guy's cool. The alt forms usually are really strong. This one is really strong if you know how to use them. If you don't really know how to use them, he kind of plays himself, so you really don't have to worry about it, but there are ways to get around him, to counter him. People are not stupid, especially in the high ranks. They will get around this guy, no problem. But, man, if you can protect him, he's just going to rip through the battlefield for you, no questions asked. But, guys, that is what I have for you today. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.